What is up, guys? Today we have one of the first liveries that we are going to be showing off for the 2019 season mod. I did this around about the same time last year, I think, I believe it was for the 2017 one on the 2014 game. But the liveries were obviously completely fantasy, but this time they're backed a little bit more by realism for the most part anyway. A few of the ones later down the line will be slightly just there just for the sake of it, just because we won't find out what cars we have until March, how they're going to look and all that. So, first one we're showing off is the Haas for 2019 with the Rich Energy sponsor. Now, there's a little bit of controversy with Rich Energy, seeing as they tried to buy Force India but didn't quite go through. Um, Obviously, with Stroll buying the team out and all that other nonsense, but so they've obviously bought the title sponsor slot for Haas. They have it from 2019. They have advertised it a little bit since then. In the last few races, we might see it sponsor appear on the car for the Abu Dhabi race, but I don't know what the laws are, if there's any laws for energy drinks or anything like that. But so what we've gone for with this, we've gone on the Force India chassis just because the Haas chassis is not great, but it's okay, so it's not too bad. But overall, it's an okay livery um, for the most part. So I've kind of kept it like a little bit similar to the Force India one that I made on the 2017 game, because they released a picture of an F1 car with all their sponsors on and all their designs. So I made that on that game. So I've kept that kind of design on the side pod that moves up towards the back of the engine cover. So you can see from this perspective, at least anyway, that we've got a little bit of white going on. So that extends from the nose up to and around the cockpit, and then the rear wing itself is it's a little bit white. It's a bit empty and all that, but there's not much we can do. Obviously, black and gold being Rich Energy's colour scheme. In terms, I've got obviously all the sponsors that we've got. We've got Jack Jones, Windshear, Peak. I want to say it's Peak Performance, but I've never really noticed it, to be honest with you, up until this. Got the little bunny rabbit and all the hair. This time it's by the cockpit rather than on the barge board, because it wouldn't really fit, to be fair. But overall, it's not actually a bad looking livery in terms of how the Force India one came out. The Force India one was literally a simple copy of whatever that was, but in this case, it's a little bit more creative. Obviously, you can see on the halo, we've got the Rich Energy with the two. I'm not sure what they are. I want to say they're like antlers, to a certain degree. They're a little bit weird, to say the least, but their logo is their logo. We can't really argue with that. But in game at the moment, we've only got, I believe, the Ferrari's livery's been done, and so is the Red Bulls. And seeing as Kimi's ahead of us in a Sauber, obviously the names have been changed as well. I think at this point as well, everyone had a base helmet. There's a few drivers that I've done helmets for completely. Raikkonen and a few others just have modified helmets to suit their team. So, for example, Ricardo has got a helmet where we've got rid of all the sponsors. Instead of it being blue, it's a little bit blackish. In other cases, we've got Science, who's ahead of us, who's got more or less a complete McLaren helmet done. So it's in that stage where it's just piling everything in, and it's gaining traction. There's going to be a few more of these videos coming out. I'm going to be recording the audio for 3 more after this, which is the Red Bull, the Ferrari, and the Williams. The Williams isn't my livery, it's someone else's, but I'm hoping to be able to include that in the season mod further down the line and stuff like that. Same as I do with every year for the fantasy mods. Like, there's not much point stressing out and worrying over what to chuck in where, because at this point it's so early on. Like, we don't even know who the last 2 drivers are. In this, we've got Ocon in the second seat. You never know. By the time this actually comes out, Kubica might have even been called out as the replacement for Sergei Sorokin. So it's very cloudy, like, in terms of what is in place. Obviously, you know, the teams are going to stay the teams. Certain bits and bobs there, like a lot of the grids form. There's only 2 seats, being the Force India and the Williams, but the Force India is basically going to go to Stroll. We're just waiting for them to actually announce that, but we're not doing too bad in terms of schedule. There's not much been done so far to this mod, other than what you can see, the names, a few liveries, and stuff like that. It's going to take time. It always takes an incredibly long amount of time, and I always end up running into issues and crashes and that. Touch wood, I haven't actually had any issues with any of the mods so far. The only issue that we have, which is going to be a frustrating one when the cars come out, because there's an issue with the chassis swaps that you can't do Q2. I haven't tested it, but apparently the rumours are going around that if you use swap chassis, there's no way to actually like check every single one if how it works. But a lot of people have reported that in Q2 the game will just freeze or whatever. So if that's the case, then there is no workaround. It's going to probably have to be, hopefully when the deliveries come out, they're going to be almost identical to what we have now on the grid, and we can just do little tweaks. Other than that, it's just going to have to be short qualifying, and full qualifying just have to go out the window, unfortunately. But there's not much we can do. Like, we're quite limited. We've started really late on this game in terms of modding compared to last year, because although last year we couldn't export the textures, we're still able to, you know, edit the driver names, which has been probably one of the biggest issues this year. Was everyone kind of just walked away from modding just for the pure fact we couldn't actually edit the names, and then a creator found a way to do it, but it didn't work perfectly. It was really tricky, and the results weren't great. And then obviously Arav managed to actually get Cody's to put the language files back in, which makes this possible. Wasn't be able to have this before, so top job by him. And hopefully it isn't too late, because it's died down an awful lot over like the past game and a half, maybe. 2017 was probably a really good game in terms of the mods that came out. Some of them were just insane. The 2005 one that me and a few other people worked on, that springs to mind. That was a massive mod that obviously came out. But 2014 was still strong, but it's not. It's dwindling now. Like it's falling off massively, which is quite a shame, obviously, because how far we've come, and then it seems every year gets less and less and less, and eventually it will probably amount to nothing, which is obviously sad, but just got to keep going and do what we can, to be fair. But these liveries might be coming out on their own, possibly. I'm not actually sure. I'll probably end up doing like a little pack, just for my ones, and then obviously link the other ones that will be in the actual final one itself. But I'm going to get some broadcast shots of the livery out doing its laps inside the battle. As you can see, got the little bit of gold around the side with the white Haas. I figured that was really important to keep that, to let everyone know it's a Haas and it's just not a complete takeover, because I don't believe that the livery will be this extreme. But I figured, you know, we're not doing it to simulate it, we're doing it just for the sake of it. But that's been it for this video, guys. I'll see you in the next one, and enjoy that. Bye bye.